That's really messing with my eyes. Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, but is it showing? Alrighty. Welcome, everybody. Anybody? I don't know if I should look at this or not because it's messing with my head something terrible. Well, good morning, Miss Deborah. How have you been? A long time no see. Oh, well, whatever. I'm seeing some weird stuff here on StreamYards. Like there's a digital background or something. I don't know if you're seeing it or not. Really, really odd. God, how did we used to do that? Was it over here? I'm trying to remember how to use StreamYards. It's been so long. So just bear with me a second. Wasn't I supposed to log into my own? Is that how that worked? I think that's how it worked. Go here and, oh, wait. Don't I have to silence one of them? I think I have to silence one of them. 4 or 5 watching. Well, hey, everybody. Bear with me. I'm trying to catch up to speed. And where is, I think that one's got to be muted. I don't know what that digital's from. That is something going on in StreamYards only. That's not something I turned on. That is really weird. I may not be able to do this the way I wanted to. Mr. Rooster, good morning, sir. Yeah, it's nothing turned on. It's just StreamYards. I have no clue what that is and what that's all about. I don't know if there's a way for me to stop it. Because as soon as I turned it on, it was there. Cam and Mike? No, nothing there to change. How about in? No, that won't work. General? Maybe it thinks green screen's supposed to be on. Ah. Did that fix it? I think it fixed it. It was giving me like an 8% or 10% background effect. Like it was trying to put a green screen behind me. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So this morning I got called out. Someone seems to think that I announced I was getting ready to publish the second book. And I had to remind him, no. I need to sell a bunch of copies first. And that's like 15, 20,000 copies just to pay for the first book. There's no chance I'm going further in debt to try and do this again. But I am writing the second book. That's kind of a weird way to put it, though, because I'm writing 2 books at the same time. But the other one is fiction. It's just a make-believe something or other. But everybody's wanting the green Wizard's Guide to Gardening, and wanting all the details and wanting all the information. And it's like, you're missing so many steps. If your yard's not right, your garden's not going to be right. Kind of a weird way to put it, but that's ultimately the way it is. Because your yard is going to have a direct effect on your garden. People may not see it, may not understand it because it's two different areas, but the microscopic world that is under the soil reaches out a long ways to get what it needs. And if it's got to try and get through a bad yard, it ain't going to happen. You're going to have a weed-filled mess and nothing's going to grow right. Wow, look at that delay. That's unbelievable. So what's been going on, everybody? I'm still thinking about doing a turkey this weekend, but wow, there's so many ways to do it. I just don't know if anybody's going to want to tune in to see. I mean, I'd love to have a bunch of people over and do 2 or 3 different turkeys, 2 or 3 different ways, but that is way too much turkey for me and Missy to have to deal with after the fact. As much as she could probably polish off a turkey all by herself, that's still a bit much. I don't want to have to be dealing with that afterwards. Good morning, Mr. Oz. How you doing, my brother? You know, I keep forgetting to get the measurements off the tailgate that I want you to do a vinyl for the Green Wizard's Guide. I just, so many things going on. Like I'm stuck. Maybe that's the wrong word. I'm questioning myself on the garlic. Garlic is supposed to truly clone itself every year. If the soil conditions aren't right, and this is with every plant, if the soil conditions aren't right, it's not going to produce the best possible. And I'm thinking that because of some of the things I deliberately didn't do the past couple of years in the garden, that it had an effect. And it limited what my garlic was capable of doing. Well, we'll find out this year, because this year I did all the prep work. This year, everything is over the top. This year, there's more organic material added. There's more minerals added. There's more everything added. Even the straw that I put down, I made sure that it was completely pulled apart and aerated, and it's literally 24 inches tall of nothing but hay stacked in this field or stacked inside this fence to try and keep Missy out. That's a project all by itself, but she is a load of fun to have around. Always into something. You know, big dog, but wow. And so cute the way she does things and gets into stuff. And then when she's in trouble, she'll go get a toy and bring it to you like, I'm sorry, and apologize. It's hilarious. Now, the other morning when the guys called me out and had me out there barbecuing in the cold, and I mean cold, my little barbecue helper wouldn't come outside. No shock, but it was too cold for her. She said, no way, I ain't going out there. You're stupid. She came out later when it got warmer. And maybe that's when I should have started cooking, because that thing just took off. And even though the meat turned out perfect, everything was great, it cooked too fast. way too fast. I wasn't ready for that. Ended up eating dinner at lunchtime, or heck, practically breakfast, because I started so early. It was like 6 hours later, and I'm eating steak at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I had breakfast for dinner. But yeah, some of the stuff I was talking about yesterday, some of you heard the video, and we were talking about leaves and mulch and what have you. There's a specific yard that keeps popping into my head, Mr. Reed's. At least that's what we're going to call him. He's got this incredible terraced yard that every time I go into his backyard, it's just like, wow, I love this place. I can just see myself setting up lights and barbecues and what have you, the way he's got it terraced off. But he's got a couple of areas there that I would really love to garden in. Really, really love to garden in. And get into an edible landscape, if that's the word to use. Stringfield Ridge. Welcome, 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 dear lady. Hope you guys are well. And she announced the other day that she has read the book now twice. Not said that she's applied any of the methods or any of the methodology, but she's read the book twice. Actually, Rooster, that steak turned out perfect. That roast, perfect. The temperatures got up to 300. The internal temperature reached medium rare, and I instantly shut everything down to hopefully cool it off and prolong it so I could get some more in it. But once and again, it goes to prove everything I've said every single time. Once you reach 119, 109, 119 degrees, the steak stops taking in smoke. The flavor and cooking over smoke is pointless. That's where I'm really confused about these pellet smokers and these guys thinking that this thing is going over the top when they set the thing at 225. They race the temperature up to 225 in the meat, and then they're fighting to have the smoke flavor. It's because you're going too fast. Mr. Dolan, hey, my friend, long time. Hey, Kristen, hey, sweetie. But yeah, it's just one of those things, I ignored the grill. I knew better. I should have been dressed for it. You guys, pushed me too fast, too early. I was half asleep till I hit the cold. But yeah, once that temperature skyrocketed in the grill, I was done. That smoker, once it goes, and it'll take off. I didn't have the doors closed on it, so it had full air. And it just took that temperature and ran with it. There was no slowing it down. It didn't matter how low I had that gas turned. That thing just took off. And the fire kicked in from the briquettes that I use for the smoke flavor, the hardwood briquettes, and it just went crazy. But hey, the steak turned out. It was awesome. It was awesome. Now that's going to be different with a turkey, because the last turkey I did that I smoked, and I normally roast turkeys, I spatchcocked it. I took the spine out of it and laid that thing flat, so all the textures were there and everything had access to the smoke. I don't want to do that this time. I want to just do a flat out smoke on the full turkey, and see where it takes me. Problem lies in what of the three methods do I want to use to prep the turkey? Okay, you should say four. You should say four. There's three brining methods: wet, dry, and injected. There's three different ways to carry that. It's just a little off. All right, Deborah, we'll see you, dear. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Ray, no kidding. It has been a while. When you're defrosting these turkeys, because for the life of me, I can't find a fresh one anywhere. But when you're defrosting these turkeys, I've used a brine for years, and I'm going after a very specific quality of the turkey to get rid of it, and that's to get rid of the tryptophan, or the chemical that is released in the turkey as it cooks that puts everybody to sleep. There's a way around that, and it's not the salt water. The salt water actually causes the turkey to absorb more water. Like it makes the turkey, yeah, in a sense, it makes the turkey thirsty, and it drinks in more water because there's salt in it. And it doesn't make it salty by any means. It just causes it to absorb more water. When you add brown sugar to the brine, and not a lot, it doesn't take much, depending on your size, anywhere from a half cup to a cup of brown sugar in the brine, which is like 1 cup to a gallon of water. And of course, it's got to be distilled water. It can't have any impurities in it. I did it twice with tap water, and it screwed it up. You could literally taste the metals coming from the city water. It was bad. That's why a lot of people just take their turkeys and defrost them in the sink, in the plastic, what have you, and let it sit there for days on end defrosting. When you brine defrost, you still have to add the ice, because it turns out, and I have proven it, it turns out you can leave it brine too long and let that temperature come up too much, and it actually ruins the meat. And it does. I mean, it's still a turkey. It still has the turkey flavor, but something's a bit off. And we're not talking the metal tastes, just something's a little bit off. And what I found is if you continually add ice and you keep that thing cold, it's like putting it in a refrigerator until you're just about ready to cook. Now, with a smoker, obviously, I like that thing super cold going in. The longer it takes to get that core temperature up to 119 degrees where it stops taking in the smoke, the more smoke I can pour into it and the more flavor I can get out of it, or get into it. Maybe that's the better way to put it. I cook. I love to cook. If I could find a job where I just cook for people every day and could experiment and do the chef special every day and be that cook, I would really enjoy my life. But that stuff gets expensive after a while. And you're handing it out to people, and it's just like, wait a minute, I can't afford to do this. And Stringfield's probably still here. Can sound off and tell you, look, there's a big difference between, a good grass-fed versus a grain-fed anything. wild versus free range versus, corral kept. And the flavor profiles are so much different. That's why I was hoping to find a fresh turkey and go that way. Oh, that's funny. I can actually see you two having fun with that. Him out there cooking, and you beating him over the head with some plastic, saying, "Quit making such a big mess." Oh, that'd be hilarious to watch. Oh my God. Oh. I would consider doing that, Rooster, except there's all these new ordinances, all these new what have yous, where, everything has to be inspected and certified clean and this and this and this. And dude, it is so many hassles and so much. I don't know how Iron Dog does it on a weekly basis to run his cart and deal with those headaches. And I'm sure in a lot of cases, it's just a matter of, I have my permit. They said I'm okay. And it's just a money grab. But dude, what if, in some of the cases, they're wanting you to clean with bleaches and chemicals that I don't want coming anywhere near my food, because it'll ruin it. It'll ruin it flat out. You'll rip taste right out of food. It's like soaking any kind of meat in buttermilk. It strips the flavor out of it. It's not worth it. Oh, exactly, Stringfield. Exactly. And that's, I get my meats from Hartsville, and I've tried other butchers and I've tried other locations, and I'm not knocking them. They have great food. And the potential just skyrockets. But when you have a free range, and the stuff that I get from Hartsville is grass fed, and you can smell it when you crack that package open. It's got that really unique, just grass fed. It smells like almost like fresh cut lawn. And that's just radiating from the meat. And that flavor is so much better. It just adds another layer or another element to what you're cooking, that just can't be beat. I've tried ribs. I've tried pork, beef. I've done everything but their seafood down there. And every one of them I walk away, and it's an award winner. It's incredible food. Rooster, I would love to do that, but with everything that has taken place in this country lately, I don't know that you would ever really get a foot up and get started. One of the places I snowplow is down near a movie theater. I think I showed it on one of the videos. It's this huge parking lot around two restaurants. Well, one of them has always struggled. They've never been able to get a foothold and get going. Last year, they announced they were putting a barbecue shop in there. And of course, I emailed them and wanted to get in there and learn some stuff and start being a regular customer, what have you. And they never launched. They got in, they spent a ton of money refurbishing the place and never launched because of the stuff that's going on. I can't say it because they'll shut the channel off, but y'all know what we're referring to. Believe me, I would love to, get up 3 o'clock every morning, drive into work, fire up the smokers, start putting on the stuff for the day. I would love to do that for a living. That would just be, to me, that would be heaven. Doing it here in Cleveland would be rough, especially in the snow. Fighting with the grills and keeping fire management going is a whole science all by itself. Add to that what you're cooking. Stringfield, that is actually a recording of me playing. I haven't played in a long time, so it's kind of a mess. But it's an Indian flute. That's a recording of me playing. I just loop it in the background and let it sit, because when you go into a silent mode or I'm taking a deep breath, it kind of leaves us all hanging. And because of copyright, I can't play anything else. I can't have anything else going in the background. And I was going to run an open panel today, but I kind of got lost in trying to figure out how to turn things back on. There's Carolyn. Good morning, dear. I figured you'd show up here soon. Well, see, and that goes back to the book, and that goes back to the story I was trying to explain to everybody. People have heard me playing that. Windows open, no AC on, what have you. They've heard me playing that late at night. And that's where this weirdness came from that gave me the name Green Wizard. The neighbors started saying, he's doing something magical. He's doing something weird. He's doing some, either he's got a magic wand or he's playing that Indian music to the plants, and they're growing like crazy. And there's just, he's a green wizard, because whatever he puts in the soil just explodes and does this weirdness. Oh, speaking of, and I kicked myself for not doing this yesterday. This is my sugar baby. This was only supposed to be a few inches across, a personal watermelon. This thing is 16 and a half pounds, 9.5 inches across, going from stem up. That's how they took the measurement. These are supposed to be personal sized watermelons. Okay. Both plants were nearly dead when I stuck them in the ground on July 15th. And everything was supposed to be harvested last month. Well, the vines all died off and everything else. This was the last one that I pulled. It's the biggest one that came out of that garden. Mr. Mock walked in. Hey, Mock 1, what's going on, my friend? But that's where the name Green Wizard came from. This was a dead and dying plant. This thing should never have survived. I threw it in the ground, moved some hay out of the way, stuck it in the ground, put the dirt back, put the hay back around it to hold the withered up leaves on it. And this is the end result. And that's no prep work on the garden. I did nothing to the garden. I changed nothing. It went from garlic to covered in straw, and I threw that plant in. I don't know. The soil conditions are just right. Everything just kind of plays out. Sherry, I didn't show it yesterday. You brought it up, but I didn't show it. Ugh. I don't know if you're looking at your phone or you're just listening, but there's my little sugar baby. 16 and a half pounds. 9 inches across. Right next to the world record. without prep work to the soil. The stuff that I've done and the stuff that I did years ago is still paying off in the soil. Now, this year with the garlic, because I'm questioning things, I overdid it. I really pushed it this year and made sure there's plenty of organic matter in the soil to take this somewhere. Yep, I still have it. I have not cut into it. I'll get there. I will. But yeah, like I was saying, with the turkey, I don't know. I want to just do a full solid turkey in the smoker and see what happens. The spatchcock one turned out incredible, plenty of flavor, but I think I can get more. If I leave the thing intact, I think I can get more flavor out of it. Oh, it's bigger than a bowling ball. I can go get a bowling ball and show you. It's bigger than a bowling ball. And this was supposed to be the sugar baby. The not much bigger than a melon. It's the Green Wizard. I cast my spell on the soil and poof, there it is. And some of the stuff I wanted to say yesterday, and I kind of got into that before everybody started coming in. And again, welcome everybody. Appreciate you stopping in. A lot of people and their yards and what have you, they're so meticulous and what have you. They don't realize they could be doing what Howie does and a food forest and growing an edible landscape. This is the time of year. If you haven't gotten the garlic in, get it in. The end result of garlic being around your property is a flea and tick free atmosphere for your animals. And if you've got chickens and you've got cats, dogs, whatever, roaming through the area, having wild garlic growing is nothing but beneficial. You can harvest it or you don't. It doesn't make any difference. It's still going to do what garlic does and change the soil conditions. It puts something in the soil that drives those bugs away. And the more you have growing around, the better off you are. Yeah, Howie's got it going on. I kind of lean a slightly different direction because going out there and trenching up every foot of your yard to fill it with waste, other people's waste, not waste, a recyclable material that's going to break down, whether it be leaves, grass clippings, trees, garden scraps, whatever, and burying things in, what did he call them? Not trenches, but pathway soil gardening. You dig up the pathway and you bury all this stuff in it. And then the next year you plant stuff on top of that and move the path over and dig up another path. It's a form of hygge culture. And I am saying it completely incorrectly because it's a German term. And I'm sure I'm butchering it in so many ways, but it's a matter of burying a bunch of trees and a bunch of waste and allowing nature to break those things down, and in its slow process, between the microbiome, and there's ways to accelerate that. There's ways to do that quicker. Somebody was asking me the other day, I want to do my garden, but I don't have worms. Should I be bringing worms in? Sure, it'll help, but wouldn't you rather have the local worms? They're a bit safer. They're already used to the local conditions and what have you. Take a 5-gallon bucket, an old one. Don't go buy something new. Take a beat up old used one. Punch the bottom out of it. Put your kitchen scraps in that. But what you want to do is you want to take that and bury that in the corner of your garden where you're not going to plant anything. The bottom being out of it is going to let water exchange. It's going to let stuff break down. It's going to be an air exchange, and the worms will come in. It will attract the worms from God only knows how far away. The reason I say use a bucket is because now you have the lid and you can keep your rodents out of there. Your mice, your rats, your everything, porcupines, whatever, all the ones that are going to eat your scraps. But if you've got that down in your garden and you're composting in your garden, the worms are going to come from all directions to get at that. They're going to smell that rot and decay, and they're going to come in, and you're going to aerate your entire garden that way. Because the worms will come in, they'll get what they want, they'll pull away because it gets too hot. Another thing to watch when you're doing kitchen waste is how hot it gets. Burying it in the ground gives you a little bit of thermal control where you don't have to pay as much attention to it. And if you're out there, once a day or once every couple of days and you take the lid off, you're aerating it, you're venting it, you're allowing it to cool a bit. And then you add new waste, whether it be leaves and from lettuce and whatever, eggshells, the whole deal. I did that too this year. Another, oh my God, 50 cartons of eggs went into the garden. All those eggshells buried into the garden and stirred up. And I didn't powder them this year. I want them to break down slower. It's got all winter to release the calcium. There's some weird methodology to it. You can powder it and accelerate the program, or you can leave it in regular shells and it'll do its own thing. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, take your eggshells, stick them in the microwave, nuke the shit out of them. Yeah. I'd rather let them air dry. I really don't want to stop nature. And anytime you microwave anything, whether it be a cup of soup, hot dogs, popcorn, whatever, you're nuking food. You're breaking cells. You're doing damage to the food. And I wouldn't be shocked if that has had a detrimental effect on the American public. Just one of those what ifs. I can't prove it. I'm not a scientist. I don't, but I gotta wonder. I know it's not healthy, but yeah, going into a yard or into a situation where, they haven't gardened before, they've got healthy soil, and they're looking at what's going on, all circumstances globally right now. And they're thinking food to themselves and where they can save and where they can become self-sufficient and it's like you've got a whole yard to mess with. It just depends on what you're growing. Some stuff is partial daylight. Some stuff doesn't like daylight. Some stuff just thrives on daylight. Garlic, sunflowers, corn, pumpkins. Well, okay, the pumpkin doesn't like the sunlight. It would prefer to be in the shade, but the leaves want all that sunlight. It's a matter of knowing your plants, knowing what their requirements are, and meeting those requirements, and staying away from city water. Now, I was talking to another gentleman this morning who never fertilizes, yet he flat out stated, I grind up all of my leaves with my mulching mower and I leave them laying. As those things break down, they become nitrogen. They're releasing minerals, but they are also a form of nitrogen for the yard. So where you don't think you're putting down fertilizer, you actually are. Obviously, composting all of that stuff and then distributing it around the yard would be healthier, would be more distributive, versus letting it break down naturally. But what I found and what I've seen reports on are leaves are one of those things that worms will actually come up, grab the leaf, and pull it down into the soil, and it will eat it later. It takes it in like it's dinner time or what have you. And when the temperatures are right, it'll come back to that leaf and it'll start eating that leaf. And what it leaves behind is incredible worm droppings. Trying to be nice here. All of this is fertilizing. All of this is great for your soils. All of this. That's why I say bury your garden. People look at me funny. Bury it in a compost pile with all the leaves. Mix in the grass. Get those temperatures cooking. Get that thing nice and warm. Never leave bare soil. That's the first mistake everybody makes. They take all their gardening stuff up from the after the harvest, and they leave everything laying there. Then they come in and they think, well, I've got to get all this dead stuff off my garden, and then I got to rototill it, and then I got to. In the meantime, it's over aerated, it's over sunned, the worms are gone, minerals are depleting, things are evaporating out of the soil. The microscopic organisms are either dead, dying, or leaving, and looking for other places to be. And then their garden doesn't come back in the springtime as quickly as it should. You left the soil bare. You can't do that. Anyways, so I meant to have a Q&A. Nobody's asking any questions. I guess I'm just a wealth of information and I can keep myself entertained. Because I'm in StreamYards, I can put the link up if anybody wants to come up. Just speak up. I'll pop the link up if anyone wants to join. But yeah, you know, Mr. Oz was saying yesterday that he caught me and he's looking for that other book. And yeah, I'm not publishing. I didn't sell enough books to pay for the first one. The numbers, you know, it's like 18 to 20,000 books to get out from underneath the debt that I put myself in publishing the first book. To do another book, even though I am writing it, I just don't know if I'm going to go there. It's a huge financial burden. I know, self-publishing. What are you talking about? You do all this yourself. Yeah, you do and you don't. I was in a discussion 3 days ago with a bunch of other authors, and we were all talking about, you know, why aren't books selling? What's this? What's that? You know, with the title that I have of Green Wizard's Guide, everybody immediately thinks, hey, look, this is about wizardry, and this is about casting spells, and this is about black arts, and it is the furthest thing from the truth. And the gentleman we were talking to was saying, well, it depends on your cover. Is your cover misleading or is your cover more welcoming? I've got pumpkins on the front of the book. Rooster's got it hanging on his wall. If you catch him live, it's just hanging back there. It's pumpkins. There's nothing misleading about this in any way, shape, or form. Well, see, Stringfield, everybody that's into this and into gardening seem to think they already have the answers. And what I'm finding is, as especially in the lawn care industry that I'm in, what I'm finding is, yeah, they have a lot of knowledge, but there's a lot of forgotten knowledge. Where they had heard something, I bring it back up and they look at me like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard that before. Now, what exactly is it? And that's what the book is for. That's where the book comes in. And most people won't even give the book a chance. Either it's because of the title, or because they're self-absorbed and think they have all the answers already. And no one has all the answers. I don't claim the book has all the answers. The book is a guide. It's just a tidbit of information with all the backup and technical support. Just like Epsom salt. Epsom salt is a greening agent. Epsom salt is used in a lot of gardening methods because some of the minerals that are in it will actually cause some of our plants, like tomatoes, roses, and what have you, to green up in an explosive way, like you're throwing iron at it. And I'm not saying it's not in there. I don't have the recipe for Epsom salt. But what they're not understanding is Epsom salt can be used everywhere. If you've got a clay condition in your yard or a compaction situation in your yard, throw a handful of Epsom salt on it and watch what happens. If you've got a flooding area where water continually stands in that area of your yard after it rains, throw some Epsom salt in that puddle and watch what happens, because those minerals release and they start soaking into the soil and they actually break up compaction. They make it so soft, that top layer of soil and lower, depending on how much Epsom salt you're applying, and it will actually allow that area to start taking on plants again and start allowing grass to grow and start allowing and water will all of a sudden start saturating into the soil like it's supposed to. The biggest problem we have in our country today is every time it rains, we've got massive flooding everywhere because of soil compaction. If people understood that there are mineral compounds that we can put on the soil freely without any fear of toxicity and start breaking up these soil conditions, the ground will start absorbing again and we will stop these flooding conditions every time it rains. It's not because we've put down so much cement and so many roads and so many buildings and so much. That's got nothing to do with it. I mean, it doesn't help that we're knocking down forests and farms to do this stuff. But when the soil no longer absorbs 1/8 of an inch of water, it's all going to go somewhere. And now we've got these flooding conditions. And it's a simple solution. We've all forgotten it. I brought it up to a gentleman 2 weeks ago who was having me aerate his yard. He had never done it before. He thought it would help with the soil compaction conditions. And I tried to explain this to him. Well, he instantly went to verify my information on the web and looked up Epsom salt. And he come back out as I was finishing and packing up the truck. He's like, "You're 100% correct. Epsom salt is miraculous. I can't believe I didn't know this. I had heard about it, but I didn't give it any merit and I didn't think about it." Epsom salt is not salt. It is just a combination of minerals from Epsom, England. That's the book. It's a helpful guide. It's just a little more information and things you already know to help out in the garden and to help out in the yard and to not have to go to big box stores to get things that are readily available. People don't understand that. It doesn't, I don't know. The Green Wizard's Guide, just saying wizard on it seems to have put off a whole lot of people that won't even give the book a chance. You know, those that have read it love it. They go back and read it multiple times. They actually have applied a lot of the procedures and steps, and the results they're getting blow them away. And they go back to the book again and again and again, and they want to try more things and do more things that I'm suggesting. And they're all Mother Nature's way. It's just a guidebook. It's just a reference point. I don't claim to know all that there is to know, all that there is to know about this stuff. I've just rediscovered, in a sense, Mother Nature's way and found ways to speed it up and found ways to help Mother Nature along. And it pays off in gold, in essence. I mean, when you can triple your yield in the same size garden, just because you helped Mother Nature a little bit and you brought in more worms, wow. And all it took was a little bit of molasses, not a lot. And all of a sudden your garden's doing tenfold better, because you've added that much more microbial life. You've given it that much more food. People just don't know what they're missing. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I 3 years now, I've been trying to get the book sales up, and hey, it is what it is. I pray to God one day it's going to kick. One day the right person's going to get it and say something, and it's going to spread like wildfire. And right now in our country, we need it. We need all the help we can get. Every country needs it. Because these methods are just, they're Mother Nature's way. And they work all over the planet. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be out in the middle of the desert. And if you can just apply some of this knowledge, things change. In those desert regions, they're proving it. They're growing huge acre after acre of gardens out in the middle of the desert in Egypt. They're proving everything I've said. Well, what I have found in my research and in my own personal experience, I'm going to go on my personal experience versus the research. What I have found is a lot of these bugs come in not because they're looking for that specific type of food, but because they're Mother Nature's way of getting rid of unhealthy plants. I'm not saying you're growing unhealthy plants. It takes one mineral to be missing for the plant to not be able to defend itself. It has natural defenses already. And if something's just a hair off, the bugs come in and take out the weaker of the plants. That being said, there are ways to defend the plants. My first suggestion would be to address the soil conditions and get as many minerals in there as possible. In the book, I list 2. There's a third. It's called bloomin' minerals. As in, flower blooms, bloomin' minerals. It's another one that's available that covers the full spectrum, and it only takes a handful. Just a handful per plant to make an incredible difference for the plant. Again, if the soil conditions aren't right, the microbial life's not right, if the worm activity is not right, there's all sorts of things that can be causing bugs to come in. I'm assuming you guys compost, you guys treat your beds right, you guys cover crops, you're doing everything right that I've heard you say. But it could be, like I'm saying, one mineral off, one tiny spectrum. It could be a tenth of a gram of copper not being available in the soil, and the plant has no defense against the bugs. Is that making any sense? That would be the direction I would look. I would look at something broad spectrum that I could just throw down like an antibiotic, broad spectrum, throw it in, and look the other direction and see what happens. Because your soils, from everything you've said, are right on the money. There shouldn't be a bug infestation unless something's not quite right. And that's with every plant. Every plant. I've run into it with pumpkins. I've run into it with tomatoes. I've run into it myself, and it turns out that when I add the minerals, I've got a huge bag, 44-pound bag of azomite, which is A through Z in minerals. I dust the garden with it. I put it in the ground before I put the plant in, or before I put the seed in, or before I put the bulb in. I dust the ground in it. I should probably lay it in even heavier, but year after year, if I'm laying it in too heavy, my concern is I'm going to put too many of potentially wrong minerals in. Now, and I've said it before, I can grow sunflowers and pull the bad minerals out. That's a way of fixing anything I may overdo and anything I may go the wrong way on. So growing sunflowers is one of the ways of detoxifying the soil. That could be a situation too. You're heavily composting. There could be one or two things that are slipping in there. Like if you're cooking with tap water from regular city water, I'm theorizing here. There could be trace minerals left behind that are bad for the plants. You're throwing the scraps out. That's taking that mineral with it. It's theoretical. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not standing there smelling the soil and able to get it in my hands to know what's going on. It's any number of things. All right, Rooster, we'll see you, buddy. Okay, well, I think I've droned on long enough. I don't know how long I've been on. Nearly an hour. Oh, my God, I am so sorry. I hate to put people to sleep like this, but watch for me. I'm going to be back. I like doing this. I do need to set up and get some people in here with panel work, and okay. I mean, and that's just from my own personal experience, Stringfield. That it was a situation prior to having this knowledge, using tap water to water with, and using I was causing my own problem. I wasn't letting Mother Nature do her thing. I was actually limiting it. And as soon as I stopped and Mother Nature got a hold, or as soon as, and that's where the pumpkin story comes into play in the book, when I could no longer reach that part of my garden and that part of the pumpkins, those pumpkins thrived where the rest of them suffered. Even though I had treated that entire side of the house exactly the same way, I couldn't get the hose down there with the magic mix trying to increase and enhance everything I was doing. And the area I couldn't spray thrived where the rest of it suffered. And I ended up with the problems. So it's just a matter of, maybe it's something you're overlooking. Maybe it's something you're not seeing. Maybe it's something you don't even realize is going on that is allowing the plant not to have its full defenses. It's just a possibility. But I would have a tendency to look in that general direction first. That's like one of the things you can think about doing. Okay, you have the bugs. You get the bugs every year. Are they laying eggs in the soil? And are they there every year because of the soil conditions? You could think about washing the soil. You could also think about overheating the soil and taking it to the point where, and this is one of the tricks that some of the farmers have been using. I'm sorry, not starting to use, but where they go out and they actually heat the soil up and take it over the 190-degree mark. Not the point of toxicity, but the point of killing off all seed. No, it's not 190, it's 120. It's 120 degrees. So they do what they can to get the top inch and top 2 inches of the soil up over 120 degrees. And I've seen them take boiling, scalding water out there and spray it down in the fields. I've seen them cover it in tarps and let the heat build up in there, early in the spring, before the last frost, so that soil gets super heated and kills off all the bugs. There's a chance you may have eggs laying there dormant, waiting to come back every year because the conditions are so perfect. It's theoretical. It's just something to consider. Anyhow, I'm not going to drone on any longer. Look for me again. I appreciate y'all stopping in. I really, really do. I appreciate everybody mentioning the book and talking about it. There's no way to light a fire under this thing unless I'm talking. You know what I mean. Miss Jerry, hey, good morning. But you're catching me as I'm leaving because you're you and you're that kind of special. Anyhow, everybody, I appreciate y'all stopping in. I'm out of coffee. My mouth is drying out. I'm out of topic. I'm sure I'll come up with something else over the weekend. Look for my smoker this weekend. I am really, really, really considering doing a turkey, and it may help out with some recipes for some of you guys because I've got some tips and some suggestions. Anyhow, everybody, thank you so much for stopping in. I greatly appreciate you. I consider you all family. You all have a great day. Be safe.